Peace, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to jump right into it. Oops. One second. Let me make sure it's in studio mode. Okay. So, riseofthemoors.org, as usual. It's the homepage. Riseofthemoors.org. This is. I'm going to have to end this because this is wrong. Actually, let me see. Let me do this. I'm not sure why the chat is disabled, so I'm gonna end it and see. Hold on. Yeah, I don't know why the chat's off. Whatever. I'll just keep it the way it is. I'm pretty sure people can still ask me questions this way. Hold on, let me show you. I'm not sure why the YouTube chat is off. The live chat is off. I haven't turned it off, but it's off. But if you go to riseofthemoors.org, you can ask me questions right here. It says message us. Not even sure if you can see my mouse. Yeah, right here, message us. I have to click on this on the screen. Message us. You can ask me questions, especially pertaining to this video if you have any questions, since the live chat is disabled. I don't know why it is. Anyway, riseofthemoors.org. You can click on books and literature. I already have it open. If you don't know, new information has been dropped or made available. As an example, this homeschooling series of information. Some of the information has already been on the website, but I compiled it to like a homeschooling tab, so that way, everything that I consider homeschool related is in this tab, including these books right here, the Moorish Lexicon. This is the physical copy. This is what they look like. This zooms in too far. There's a table of context, same thing, right here. There's 13 different lessons, right? 13 different lessons, all the way down to 13. Technically, there's more because it's 9, 9.1, 9.2, 9.3. 13 different lessons. You can get the physical book, or you can get a PDF version right here. PDF version. So it's the same book for cheaper, or you can get the physical version. I have to print these myself. And you'll see, it's designed for homeschooling. I had a few Moors look at it, including my wife, but I had, two other third-party Moors review it, and they said it's great. They homeschool their children, so I'm going to take their words for it. But as an example, here's what the PDF version looks like. So again, the table of content. Table of content. There's questions for each lesson, right? So This was lesson one. Right, lesson one, you are a Moor, origins and migrations of Moors. And then there's questions for the lesson. What's your nationality? Who is Lot? Who is Moab? What is the modern name for Moor? Why are you a Moor? What is our native word for west? When is the estimated time that Abraham and Lot existed? So there's questions for the lessons, right? So lesson two, Moors of the West. In this lesson, I go over some things such as carbon dating, and these are sources um, that are included, right, for the student and parent. So you can click on the links yourselves. Obviously, if you have the physical book, you're not going to be able to click on the link, but you can still, type it in if you want to see the source for itself. And the importance of this is around the claim where Prophet Noble Drew Ali talked about the great earthquake. So before, let me see if I can find it, where Noble Drew Ali discussed this. Yeah, so before, right, this is in the Circle 7 Quran, right, and I put Prophet Noble Drew Ali's Arabic name in here, Al-Haj Sharif Abdul Ali, so, Morris can get familiar with the spelling in Arabic. But when Prophet Noble Drew Ali is talking about the Moroccan Empire, he specifies that our dominion and habitation extended from northeast and southwest Africa across the great Atlantis, which would be the Atlantic Ocean, onto the present day North, South, and Central America and Mexico, and the Atlantis Islands, which are commonly referred to as the Caribbean Islands today, before the great earthquake which caused the great Atlantic Ocean. So, the reason why I talk about radiocarbon dating is because scientists have made the statement that Pangea, which that's what Prophet Noble Drew Ali is talking about, Pangea, before the Atlantic Ocean became an ocean. Pangea is when all of the continents were connected. They say that happened approximately, some scientists suggest 250 million years ago. Other scientists suggest 750 million years ago. And they base those estimates on radiocarbon dating, or just simply put, carbon dating, which is the radioactive decay of carbon 14, which exists in all biological matter. We understand that carbon is the building block of life. But what's worthy of note is how difficult it is to radiocarbon date inorganic matter such as rock, and how inaccurate it is. And I provide, several sources where they talk about the inaccuracies of radiocarbon dating. Some scientists suggest that it's accurate up to 60,000 years. Some scientists suggest that it's only accurate up to 30,000 years. And some scientists even suggest that with those estimations, there's approximately 20,000 years of error that's included into those times. So you'll see here, I can't remember exactly which lesson. Oh yeah, right here. So as an example for the next generation of Moors, I explain how it's their responsibility to help us uncover more proof of our origin. We Moors have been deceived, and it is up to you and other future generations to help separate the truth from the lies. So, this book, our future is predicated on the next generation. That's just what it is. A lot of Moors talk about certain rights that we have today and how we should have our own Moorish government and our own Moorish state and have our own documentation and things like that. Those are great things. Those are great ideas. That is the future that we're all striving for. But the actual reality, de facto, in fact, is we don't have any institutions to enforce any of that. So all we can do is teach the next generation of these things in hopes that they can better achieve the things that we couldn't, because a lot of us are getting this information, later on in our life, as opposed to being born into this information, which is why, the prophet said he came for the children and yet unborn. I think I'm misquoting that. I forget. Let me see where he said it. What he said exactly. He said, I have come for the children and the unborn generations. That's what he said. So this is my attempt to inform the next generation. I'll be using this for my children, and My nephews already have a copy of my first book, so they'll probably get a copy of this too. Um, just giving the next generation the science, right? As an example, what is radiocarbon dating? Uh, One limitation is that radiocarbon dating is only accurate back to about 50,000 years. Similarly, the chemical makeup of anything buried within the past 400 years has changed too little to prove an accurate carbon 14 measurement, right? So it's limited. The science is limited. After an organism has been dead for 60,000 years, so little carbon 14 is left that an accurate dating cannot be established. So if this is the science, how can we possibly say that something is millions of years old if the method of measure is only accurate up to 60,000 years? Um, and this one says 50,000 years. Um, this one says 60,000 years, right? And how it can yield an invalid age of 40,000 years. So the measure has so many flaws in it that it can't it can't be definitive at times, right? It's an estimate. So the next generation should be taught that it is an estimate, not a fact, right? This just tells you the date of decay of carbon 14. This says, dates can be wrong as 3,000 years, right? And this is from Columbia University. So, this isn't my own opinion. This is a map of Pangea from nps.gov, National Parks and Services. So this is from the government's own website, the United States government. So this isn't a conspiracy theory or anything like that. Or, uh, you know, people try to slander us and say our sovereign citizen belief, even though none of us profess to be sovereign citizens. Um, you'll see that the Earth, all of the entire Earth was connected, which would mean, Northwest Africa and Northeast America is the same. And this is why, there's scientists and geologists in the University of Georgia and University of Florida that state that the tectonic plates of Georgia and Florida are the same as that of Northwest Africa. And Rhode Island would essentially be where Morocco is. Um, and then there are questions. What does the word original mean? What is Pangea? What is radiocarbon dating? What are some of the limits of carbon dating? What lands did the dominions of the Moors extend to? Who are the Olmecs? And then it goes into another lesson, lesson 3, which is civics. Right, then lesson 4 is culture, and then there's questions. Let's go to the questions on civics. What is civics? What is your duty as a citizen? And where would you record your declaration? So all that stuff is covered in there. Lesson 4 is on culture. And then there's case law. Actually, this culture lesson is one that I actually gave to a bunch of high school students. Um, let me see where it is. Not too long ago. Oh, someone just explained to me why the comments are off. Thank you. How long ago did I do this lecture? Oh man, where is it? Time, all right here. Time flies, man. But this class on culture is where I taught these students this, and they loved it. Actually, let me see. Let me do this real fast. I want to see if I can find some of the reviews they gave me after the lecture. Wow, my computer's slow right now. Uh, 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 um, let me just do this. have to check my email. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. It's me after this. Oh, here it is. Feedback. All right, here it is. So now I have to do this. This. So some of the students wrote feedback. Why is this taking so long? There we go. Dear Jamal, thank you so much for your wonderful presentation. Truly appreciate you and your outstanding professionalism and for having been intentional about the content of your presentation, which was resourcefully geared to the specific needs of our interns. And here's some of the things that they said. I'm not going to read it all, but this is what the doctor sent to me. He's a doctor in psychology, and he was dealing with 12th graders who are interested in the field of psychology. And he asked me to do a presentation on culture. And they loved it. So feel free to pause. Well, this is going to be posted, so you can't pause now, obviously. Actually, I think you can. Anyway, read it whenever you want. They spelled my name wrong. It's all good. I don't care. So yeah, that was this class. Culture. And you'll see, I mean, the slides aren't there, but you'll see that this whole thing is in here. Culture. Anyway, where else? America named after an Italian. This is very important because even Moors, which is very interesting to me, condemn the name America. And some Moors will even assert that we're not Moorish American because they associate American with, Europeans. And when you just do basic research, you'll see that the word America existed way before Amerigo Vespucci. Over 1,800 years before Amerigo Vespucci. And it is a Berber word. The word Berber is not barbarian. It is derived from the title Bey in Bur, which means noble panther. And just like the word Ottoman is derived from Osman, there was a sultan who was known for stopping the Crusades named Baybars. So just like when the Europeans would say, "Oh no, the Osmans are coming," or "Oh no, the Ottomans are coming," meaning those who adhere to the Emperor Osman. They would say, "Oh no, the Berbers are coming," meaning those who adhere to the Sultan Baybars. And I explained that. Then I asked questions. Right. So that way, you can study with your children if you don't know this information, and then ask questions. And then it would you can also create your own lessons based off of the additional study of what I'm presenting. All right, so this is the emperor, this is the sultan, right? That says sultan. Baybars, right there. Bybbrs. Baybars. Let me zoom in. I keep forgetting how Streamlabs works. You can't see what I see. All right, Sultan Adahir Baybars. There's no E here. There's really no vowels in Arabic. Of course, there's Aleph and Wow and Ya, which Aleph is A. Ya is sometimes used as an E, but it's not there's really no vowels like that. And I discuss how the Arabic language is derived from the Egyptian hieroglyphs or the Medu Neter. I go over that in this as well. And you'll see that where language of the Moors or Latin language of the Moors, and then there's another section where I talk about Moors in Egypt and the language of the Moors and how this Mesha which is oftentimes called Phoenician, Mesha, Mecca, or the King Mesha of Moab in the Bible, Mesha. How this is called, this is also the Phoenician script. So when people say Phoenician, they're saying Moabite. You just have to know that, which is why, I'm preparing this for the future generation so that way they know. Um, and how it's the Mudar language, which Mudar is based off the Medu Neter, which even native Arabic speakers admit that the original Arabic of the Quran was established in the Moabi region or the land of Moab. And then I think I've discussed in some of my other videos of how when Lot left Sodom and Gomorrah, he went to the plains of Mecca, um, and how Ishmael married a Moabite woman, which is connected to how Prophet Noble Drew Ali said that the Moors are the founders of the holy city of Mecca. Yes, Abraham and Ishmael built the actual Kaaba, but when you learn about the story of Hagar and how when the Zamzam water was brought forth by the angel Jabril, how these merchants came and they spoke Arabic, which remember, Lot is from the land of Moab. He's the grandfather of Moab, so obviously they would speak the language. And at that time, Abraham and Lot had already split, so Lot wouldn't have known who Hagar was when they split and Abraham went into Egypt. So he wouldn't even have known who she was. He wouldn't even have known of his cousin Ishmael at the time. But anyway, and there's no context of when it happened, as far as like when the angels came to Abraham and warned them about Sodom and Gomorrah, and how Abraham argued with the angel saying, "Hey, my nephew Lot is there, so don't destroy them yet." And the angel said, "Well, we're well aware who's there." There's no time frame of, did the angels come to Abraham months, years in advance, weeks in advance, days in advance? And then if so, when the angels departed and actually went to Sodom and Gomorrah, there's no time frame. So it could have been 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 80, 90, 100 years. Only Allah knows. And I don't assert that I know a timeline. I'm just based on the information that I've come across, even from third-party Jewish scholars, right? Hold on, let me see if I can find it, where they specified that Ishmael married a Moabite woman, which they have no interest in showing our blood connection to the Ishmaelites or the Arabs. They have no interest in that, right? And then when we read Prophet Noble Drew Ali's literature, and he says, we're related. Well, we are related. We would be related through, not only through Boaz and Ruth, but through Ishmael and Aisha, and then we'd be related because Abraham is the uncle of Lot, and Lot is the grandfather of Moab. So we have deep blood connections to our Arab brothers and sisters, or our Ishmaelite brothers and sisters, not just the Israelites. But let me see if I can find that. Where did I discuss that at? What was I talking about just now? Yeah, see sometimes. Okay, here it is. Boom, perfect. Right. This Jewish rabbi states that Ishmael married a Moabite woman named Aisha, and then divorced her because she failed to host Abraham properly. Right. And then Abraham left a code message to his son and said, change the welcome of your door, or something like that. And then when Ishmael came home, he sensed his father. He spoke to his wife. She said, "Oh, yes, a man came and said, change the something of your door." And he said, "Okay, that was my father, and he told me to divorce you." And then he married another woman from that same tribe, which would mean he just married another Moabite woman. So when I said our blood connection to Aisha, it's not her, it's someone else. I misspoke. It's another Moabite woman, right? Um, this is information none of us had. So I'm trying to help prepare the next generation. And if not your children, my children. If you don't care enough about your children's reference points of more science, then that's fine. This is for those that do. Um, where was I? Berbers, American name that's in Italian, Moors in Europe, um, Latin, the language of the Moors, right? I didn't go over this, but I'll go over it. Look at the Moabite language. Remember Phoenician, Moabite script. Look, this is the Moabite script right here. Let me zoom in. This is the Moabite script right here, where my mouse is, right here. Can't highlight it, right there. This is the Phoenician script. Notice how it is like exactly the same. Notice how it's exactly the same. Right? And then here's the Arabic script. This is just tells you the name of the letter. So this is Alf or Aleph, right? This is what it looks like. Ba. This is Jim, Dal, Ha, Wa, Zay, Ha, Ba, Ya, Gaf, Lam, Mim, Nun. And look at the M. This is the Phoenician M. And then look at Mim. The name is even the same. Mim. Right? And I go over that. And also some of the Hebrew letters, some like I'm pretty sure Ain and Sin have the same names in Hebrew, the Moabite script, and Arabic. So when you cross-reference things like the Hebrew stones or the Phoenician stones found here in America, know that they're saying Moabite stones because it is the Moabite script. It's not Phoenician, it's Moabite, right? And then look at the Latin letters. Look at the A, look at the B, and you'll see, look at the D, look at the E, how it came from Phoenician. And I address this because Moors will say Moorish Latin. It's not Moorish Latin. It's just Latin. And then the Latin language is derived from what? The Moorish language. So it's not Moorish Latin, it's Latin. Whose parent language is what? Moabite. You know, and that's not being explained to Moors. So sometimes when Moors even parrot the phrase Moorish Latin, they couldn't necessarily explain it how it is a Moorish language. They just say it, or sometimes sometimes they'll say because of the Moors in Spain, but Latin existed before that. So it's just when we're told that the Moors translated things from Latin and Greek, that's how, because we already knew our own language, so we're able to translate it for Europeans because we knew our own languages. So when we looked at, when our people used to know more than one language based on the extensive trades that we had and who we were as a people, so we're able to, do things like translate a bunch of books and use the Rosetta Stone to translate Egyptian hieroglyphs, because the Arabic language is essentially from the Egyptian hieroglyphics, from the Demotic script, which is just it's diminutive of the actual logographic language for simpler writing on paper, on papyrus. That's what it is, and I explain that. I explain how Thomas Jefferson's quote, "Peace through the medium of war," was, and this is his letter where he said it, "Peace through the medium of war." I acknowledge a very early thought would be best to effect a peace through the medium of war, where the Europeans were discussing not paying our ancestors tribute anymore, because when they paid our Sultan tribute for protection, other Moors would dishonor the treaty and still take European ships and take Europeans as captive and slaves, even though our holy book forbids slavery. So we stopped honoring our own laws, and we fell because of that. And here was their efforts to say, hey, we tried sending letters to the Moors, we tried being respectful to the Moors and paying them tribute and adhering to their treaties, and they keep violating their treaties. So we're going to wage war with them so that way we can have some type of peace. This was from George excuse me, not George Washington, Thomas Jefferson to John Adams, 1786. Right. So when was the treaty signed? Exactly. And when he became president, guess what he did? He declared war on the Moors. That is known as the First and Second Barbary Wars. And I make connections with timelines, and I, of course, uh, provide reference points. And look, this is from this is a Supreme Court case where they talk about the Barbary Wars. Um, in cases, so this is Congress.gov, right, where they talk about all of this. And we'll never find this looking up Black history. You just won't, because we weren't Black, and we're not Black. What else? Let me see. The identity of the Moor. I go over, Lot, Abraham, and why it's so difficult to find out information about Moab. We're told that Moab disappeared under the Persian Empire, the Akkadians, uh, but we're not told how and why. And the reason why is because the Moors were revolting. So the Moors had extensive relations with Egypt. You know, historically, even today, Palestine, Jordan, they're Muslim, and they had extensive relations with Egypt. In fact, when Sultan Abdulaziz ibn Saud became the Sultan of Saudi Arabia, um, he proposed that an Islamic conference be held and that Egypt lead that Islamic conference. Uh, you know, because of Hagar, because of their blood ties through Hagar, who was an Egyptian woman, who was Prophet Abraham's wife, who gave birth to Ishmael, which Prophet Muhammad is a descendant of Ishmael. So the land of Moab, which is present day Jordan, where the Dead Sea is, which is the border of Palestine, the land of Canaan, Palestine and the land of Moab have always had extensive relations with Egypt. Um, Sorry, where was I? So when the Persians came, now remember, and I talk about this. Abraham is originally from Persia. He's from Babylon. He's from Mesopotamia. Actually, specifically not the city of Babylon. That area was often referred to as Babylon, but he was from the city of Ur of the Chaldeans. And remember, when he was telling them to stop practicing idol worship, his own father tried to kill him. They tried to put him in a burning fire, and he survived, of course. And then his nephew Lot bore witness that there's only one God, and that God is Allah, and that is the God of Abraham. Y'all are worshiping idols and creating idols with your own hand. We're out of here, right? So they're originally from Babylon, who is known to practice idol worship. So by the time the Babylonians or the Assyrians fought against Egypt's, it was administrative war for, geopolitical territory. Uh, the Moors were already with Islam. The land of Moab was already Islamic. So when the Assyrians came, the Moors didn't like that because their style of rule was different, you know, and they worshipped idols. So when the kingdom of Moab decided to rebel, that's when the status changed, where they weren't just they became a vassalage of Babylon, and they couldn't identify as themselves anymore because of the rebellion, right? And a lot of Moors fled to Egypt again and fought on the side of Egypt, or Mizraim, Misr, to fight against the Babylonians. And this is why they say that we disappeared under the Assyrians, or under the not Assyrians, under, because that would be Syria, under the Babylonians, or the Akkadians, or the Phoenicians. So I talk about that, and how there's a documented plight or flight of Moors that time into Egypt, so west again. So where Prophet Noble Drew Ali talks about how the Moors were traveling west and permitted by the pharaohs of Egypt, That happened at least twice. One once during the time of Joshua, which the prophet Noble Drew mentions by name. Under Joshua, we were driven out of the land of Moab. Where is it at? I don't think I referenced that, but more should know it's in their holy book, which you should read your own holy book. But then I believe there was at least a second pilgrimage of Moors, um, right? Because we already know that the Lebu or the Libyans had extensive relations with Egypt, and the Lebu or the Libyans are a tribe of Moors, so they would have already have been there. And then, of course, during the Carthage and Roman wars, Hannibal and his son, or I think Hannibal was the son, I can't remember his name, uh, the Carthaginian wars with both father and son, Moors were known to have been part of the military conquest against Rome, where they brought elephants into the Appalachian Mountains. Was it Appalachian Mountains? I think I'm miss my geography is a little messed up. But they brought elephants into the mountains to to try to attack Rome from the north, and then the Carthaginians wouldn't send reinforcements. But anyway, um, so we know that there's at least two major migrations of Moors from the Levant or the east to the Maghreb, which is the west, and I document those, or I provide that information for Moors for the next generation, so that way they know how we got here. So not only is there major migrations of Moors, both of which during war times, which we know today, the war in Iraq, the war in Afghanistan, the war in Palestine. Whenever there's a war in someone's home country, there's refugees, people seeking refuge, people leaving their homeland to go somewhere else. So it could be, even if you don't believe Moors migrated west, you would have to believe Moors migrated west because people often want to avoid conflict. And if their enemy's coming from the east, then you would flee west. Um, and then, of course, there's the biblical mention of when Joshua entered into the land of Canaan, because remember, they went through Moab. Allah told them not to harm Moab because of the blood relation and promise of the Holy Land to Lot, who was a prophet of Allah's. So that's all talked about in here, if you don't know. Then I talk about how the Europeans themselves refer to the the Almoravids as Moabites. So that shows us even more west. And this connection with Pangea and radiocarbon dating and the inaccuracy of radiocarbon dating prompts the idea that Moors weren't just in Northwest Africa, because we can't necessarily say when Pangea was. So it could have been during 711, it could have been before 711, it could have been during the first migration of the Moors to the west during the times of Joshua, or it could have been during the times of the Persian Empire fighting with Egypt. We don't know. At least I don't know. And if you can find that, if you can find, I know there's certain Christian ministers and stuff like that talking about how the Earth is younger than what we're told. But if there's any more scientists out there that is already interested in this topic and already doing more research, please let me know, because I believe that the Earth is much younger than what they say, and I believe that Pangea must have happened or must have been more recent than what they say. Um, and then I talk about history of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and then I talk about the counterintelligence program. So there's a lot of information for you and your children, so that way they know what they're up against, and they know who they're up against. Not because we're bad people, but because this is our land, and these people need to murder our leaders in order for us to stay where we are. Just like they're doing in Palestine, just like they've done to Iraq, just like they've tried to do to Iran, just like they tried to do to Afghanistan and Cuba and Vietnam and North Korea, and just like they do everywhere, just like what's happening in Niger today with their revolt against colonization and neocolonialism and things like that. The next generation needs to be prepared. because we weren't, and that's why we are where we are because we weren't prepared. And the reason why we weren't prepared is because of things like the counterintelligence program, where their main objective is to murder our leaders. That is their main objective, and to give our leaders who don't have criminal records, because that is their main objective. So that's this. Let me get the physical so you can see. That's this. The Moorish lexicon. Oops, the light's too bright. Yeah, it's not really focusing. Well, that's it. And reference points are provided. Uh, the key takeaways, just general. I put a little fez there, make it Moorish, make it cool. I thought it was a cool idea to make the bullet points fezzes. Um, but here's the key takeaways from the lessons. Oh, obviously, I didn't incorporate everything, but just so you and your child can understand, some of the generalization of what we're reading or what you're reading. Um, yeah, that's this book, 136 pages. You can get a black and white physical copy, which is this. The cover will be in color, but the pictures on the inside will be black and white. Or you can get the PDF version, which I just showed you. The next book I have available for Moors. I didn't put it as a homeschool lesson, although, it could be. Is this book right here? The Roman Reformation of Religion into Dogma. Are you practicing the teachings of Jesus or the teachings of Rome? And just to go over the cover, obviously the title and subtitle. But this right here is a Greek, two Greek letters. Roman? Two Roman letters. Actually, no, I think they are Greek. Two Roman letters, and then it standing alone and how it turned into the cross. And then how that same symbol of the Pope is the same symbol of Constantine. This is the symbol that Constantine first used for Christianity. And then you'll see this where it says the Father is not the Son, is not the Spirit, is God. So they're not independent of each other. They are the same thing. The Romans created that. That's why this circle with the stops, the crosses on it, or the X out, meaning not that, is over that symbol. And I explain all of that in this book. And here's an example. And of course, there's reference points going over all of this, so that way Moors understand that Christianity is not wrong and Christianity is not bad. What's wrong is what the pagan Romans created in the name of Christianity, right? So this sign was created by Constantine. This is the original cross. And how, as an example, there weren't even, during the alleged crucifixion of Jesus, Rome wasn't even known to have killed people like that at that time. And how, as another example, there were canons of the church, meaning canonical laws. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. Canons or laws of the church, where they prohibited pictures being placed in the church because it would result in them worshiping those images. Right? This was before 325 AD, so this was before Constantine got involved. This was before the Emperor Constantine became Christian, right? Churches prohibited pictures from being used in the church, right? And they got that from Exodus. You shall not make for yourself an image in the form of anything in heaven above, or on the earth beneath, or in the waters below. You shall not bow down to them or worship them. And now look at this image of Mary, and look how the Pope is worshiping and bowing down and asking Mary to do something for them. That is idol worship. The Romans created that. They remember, they were pagans. They created that. Christians don't do that, right? Only Romans do that. And you'll see again, they created this image of this man who was supposed to be in heaven. When Moses said, do not create any image of anything in heaven, do not bow to it. They're on their knees, they're bowing in front of it, and do not worship it. Right? This is a Roman creation. I also talk about the importance of the Council of Chalcedon, the Protestant Reformation, the Council of Constantinople, who the Arians are, which is very important, and the First Council of Nicaea, where they created this idea that this idea of the Trinity, which did not exist before the Nicene Creed of 325 AD. It did not exist. They created Easter, which did not exist before 325 AD. And they created this creed that the Father is the Son, is the Holy Ghost. They created that, which means before that it did not exist. And when you look at the time period, 325 AD, 451, right? And then you look at when Prophet Muhammad came and how in his revelation, he explains how they made up this idea that God has a son. They made up the idea of the crucifixion. They made that up themselves. And then when you look at the documented history of the Romans themselves, and how the Arians were fighting against the Trinity, fighting against this Godhead status of Jesus, you'll see Christians they weren't having it. There were other Christians that were saying, no, this is not real. This is not true, right? And I connect that to, of course, the Protestant Reformation and the Puritans. Now, remember, when the colonists came here, they identified as Puritans, which means what? They were Protestants, which means what? They were Arians, which means what? They did not believe that Jesus was God. They did not believe in the Trinity, and they did not believe that God had a son. That's why they were allowed to come here. And when you study the diplomatic correspondences with the Low Countries, with the Dutch, remember Deutsch, German, Martin Luther, Arius, the Protestants, they're all Germans. Even when you talk about the Gothic invasion of Spain, before Roderick was in power, they were all Arians. Once Rome overthrew the Gothic or the German kingdoms, Roderick who was a Chalcedonian who believed in the Trinity. That's when the people of Al-Andalus said, hey, yo, Moors, we need help. These people are enforcing religious dogma on us. Come help. So we Moors weren't conquerors, we were liberators. Just like, remember, that's around 711. Just like when Khalid, who was a companion of Prophet Muhammad, was fighting against the Romans, they were fighting against the Roman provinces of North Africa. We were subjugated to that same crap until the companions of Prophet Muhammad, who they're referred to as the Arab conquerors, they weren't conquerors. They were liberators against the Romans. That's who they were. They were man enough and brave enough to stand up for the religious truth against both the Persian Empire and the Roman Empire, which is the only reason why Moors were able to enter into Spain 711 AD. The only reason why, because we were under Roman subjugation. Look it up. Right? So when you look up the diplomatic correspondences with the Dutch, the Low Countries, who are German, Deutschland, because remember it's not Germany, we entered into treaty agreements because they were Aryans. Because, and when you read the Quran, it talks about how the closest ones to Muslims are the Christians. Because true Christianity doesn't practice the worship of idols, nor this idea that God had a son and that son died on the cross, who was also himself and the Holy Spirit, which doesn't make any sense. Right? So true Christians didn't practice that. This is why these colonists were allowed to even be here in the first place. Right? So this context is needed for Moors to understand why we had treaties with these people. Because, out of hatred, I've heard Moors say in the past, why did we even let them come here? Why did we even enter into treaties with these people? But you're basing it off of the mistreatment today as if we were being mistreated back then when they were begging us for help. Because, as an example, Spain and Rome, during the 1700s, when a lot of these charters were issued to European countries, made it illegal for them to even do business, other European countries to do business with us Moors, and they were enforcing this idea of the Nicene Creed and this Jesus is a God narrative that other Europeans were fighting against. Right? So the Puritans were fighting against that because the Puritans were Protestant. The word Protestant comes from the word protest. Who were they protesting? They were protesting the Romans. So now the Romans were practicing the teachings of Arius, which is why they're called Arians. Not this idea of they're the supreme, pure blood. That's not what that's about at all. It's about a bishop or a priest named Arius who was fighting against the Roman dogma of the Trinity and crucifixion. That's what Arian means. So when we hear the name Martin Luther King and Martin Luther, that's where Protestants come from. Martin Luther, who was a German, who was fighting against Rome. Right? So this goes over, a lot of Christian history, which is absolutely related to Islam because it's the same religion as explained in the Holy Quran, revealed by Prophet Muhammad, who did not read and did not know any of these stories until it was revealed to him by God to make the corrections that the Romans were inventing and then waging war against people under these pagan signs and symbols. Liberated us Moors from under the iron hand of Rome again. Right? Because obviously Jesus came to do it the first time, according to Prophet Noble Ali. Right? And this is where religious controversy is coming from. Not understanding the history. Not understanding that it's the Romans doing bad things in the name of Christianity that makes people denounce Christianity. When you need to separate the wheat from the chaff or the wheat from the chaff, you need to separate the truth from the falsehood, right? And this idea of Jesus being crucified, when the other man on the cross was named Jesus, Son of the Father. Here it is, right here, and Christians know that. When the Roman Pontius Pilate, or whatever his name is, told the people, "Hey, this man Jesus is innocent. So how about we replace him with this other guy?" And they said, "No, we want Jesus. We want to kill Jesus." Well, guess what? Both of those people on the cross name was Jesus, right? And then the dude's last name, Barabbas, means, where's it at? Son of the Father. So not only did the people at the time not know who Jesus was, they didn't know what he looked like. Now let's go over that. In the Bible, the narration of the crucifixion of Jesus was told in such a way that many people did not know what Jesus looked like. In fact, when he performed miracles, he often told people not to tell anyone, right? So after healing a man of leprosy, he said, "Don't tell anyone." The man was so excited that as a result, Jesus had to leave. Right? So when he performed miracles, he told people, don't tell nobody, nothing. Right? So people didn't know what he looked like. So much so that when the Romans went to apprehend him, Judas had to identify him to the Romans. Which means what? People didn't know what he looked like. People did not know what Jesus, Isa, Yeshua ibn Yosef looked like. They didn't know what he looked like. Or Isa ibn Maryam, they didn't know what he looked like. It's in the Bible. Right? So then when the Roman governor, Pontius Pilate, proceeded over his case, he said, I find no basis for charge against this man. Meaning what? Jesus was innocent. Now, how many times does it say in both the Bible and the Quran that Allah is just to those who do good? He's not going to punish them for shit that they didn't do. Right? Not only that, but the Roman governor's wife, look, right? His wife said, had nothing to do with this righteous man. I have suffered much over him today in a dream. So how many, now as a man, if you're a man listening, or you're a woman, you should know. How many times have we been influenced by our lovely wives? She says, do this and do that. And we say, you know what? I've been thinking about it. I'm going to go with your advice. How many times have we done that as men? Behind every great man is a what? Greater woman? So not only did this man out of his own mouth say, this man is innocent, his wife said, don't do anything wrong to him, right? The people didn't know what Jesus looked like. The other guy to be crucified, his name was also Jesus, the Son of the Father. So now let's look at what the Quran says. They said in boast, we killed Christ, Jesus, the son of Mary, the messenger of Allah. But they killed him not, nor crucified him, but so it was made to appear to them. So they believed, right? So let's look at this. Let's look at what I wrote. So with this confusion about his name, right? Jesus, Christ, and then Jesus, Son of the Father. People not knowing what Esau looked like, not knowing what Jesus looked like, right? They didn't know what he looked like. The one called Jesus, Barabbas, the criminal, whose name literally means Jesus, Son of the Father, must have been crucified instead. And the people just assumed they murdered the right man. So it was made to appear to them. But actually, Allah knows best as to what happened. But based on their very own biblical account, people didn't know what Jesus looked like. And then the other guy on the cross, his name was also Jesus, Son of the Father. And then the Roman governor who presided over the case offered to let Jesus Christ go. And his wife confirmed that. You know, and there's also other narratives that Judas was placed instead of Jesus. There's also other narratives that when the Romans were coming, Jesus asked, you know, will someone like to take my place? And a little boy volunteered, and his appearance was made to look like that of Jesus. Only Allah knows best, right? Only Allah knows what actually happened. But from their own biblical accounts, we can prove that there was another man named Jesus, the Son of Father, next to Jesus Christ. From their own accounts, right? And then there's other Christians that state that Christ was never crucified. So even Christians themselves say this, right? Jesus Christ was not crucified, and it was actually Judas. So there's other Christian doctrines where they specify that Jesus was never crucified. So this isn't just a quote unquote Islamic point of view. Christians themselves say that. Right, here's another source where a 2,000-year-old Bible was found that specifies that Jesus was not crucified. Right, and then of course I talk about the Visigoths and how they were Aryans, and the liberation of Al-Andalus. Moors were liberators, not conquerors, just like the Arabs were liberators, not conquerors, under the command of the companions of Prophet Muhammad. Right, so that's this book. Both are available on riseofthemoors.org. It's very important. I mean, it's if you want to understand the history of who we are as a people, you have to understand religion. You have to, because there's never been a separation of church and state. In fact, even in the United States, there is not a separation of church and state. There's only a specification that there's no religious test for positions within the state government. That does not mean there's a separation. That just means you can't be tested on a religious basis for you to take office, such as the mayor, city council, Congress, etc., 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 etc. So there's also been, let me see. Here's my trust law series. It's also down here. I should probably get rid of one. But it's by category. So if you want to know, all the stuff about trust law, it's here. Um, if you just want free stuff, the majority of the items on the website are free. Here's a book by Devonte Bay. It's a free book. 4 Steps to Engaged Fatherhood. It's a free book, free PDF. It's free. Remember, this is the free page. The Rudder and Sextant by Taj Tariq Bey, which there was controversy about me making this available to the public, which is crazy. I actually talk about that in a book that was never published because it was destroyed. My one of my external hard drives crashed, and it was like, I want to say 200 pages talking about the structure of the Moorish Empire and the structure of the Moorish government. That book's never coming out. Sorry. This is all free stuff. Black Soul Dictionary PDF version. Christian Black Codes, Banking Act of 1933, some Moorish treaties, contract law, rights of a child, the Constitution, Articles of Confederation. It's all free stuff. And then this is just everything. So if you want to scroll down, this is just all of the site items. Everything. I'm actually working on something else. Actually, I already finished it. I just don't know what I want to do with it. I don't know if I want to, and I way exceeded my time. My time's supposed to be 26 minutes, but I haven't done this in a while, so I figured make it longer. I finished something else, but I think I'll save it for Saturday class. I plan on doing Saturday classes again in the flesh. So stay tuned for that. There's going to be a lot of controversy behind it, just so you know now. But I don't care. Whereas most people are doing nothing, I'd rather do something. And I'd rather do something with people that want to do something, as opposed to waiting for people to want to do something. I'd rather already find the people that are willing to do something. So yeah, stay tuned for that. What else to stay in tune for? Actually, I think I went over this before. Hold on, I gotta edit this stuff. Streamlabs is weird. It could be better, but it's not better. I guess that's fine. I don't think I went over everything on the website. I think I have. I don't know. I'll just do it again. RiseOfTheMoors.org. Click on Books and Literature. Right over here, Books and Literature. Oops, I keep doing that by mistake. Trust law stuff, free stuff, physical books. Rise of the Moors study group application is available. A case where gun charges were dismissed is available. Recover your home after foreclosure is available. This class that Jalil and I did is also available. It was recorded. It was sold as a live class where people were able to ask us questions. I think it's... One second. It is 4 hours long. It's a 4-hour-long lecture where we talk about mortgages, the history of mortgages, history of the feudal system, and Jalil goes over his book. It was actually part of the lecture. So you were basically paying for the trust law series and for Jalil's book and our our conversation. Um, so you got the class. I mean, you got this book as part of the class. Uh, and I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I set it up to when you buy the pre-recorded um, lecture, you still get Jalil's adverse possession booklet, step by step guide, and the trust law series that came with it. And you'll also get to hear us talk about the things we talked about in the class and answer some of the people's questions. And yeah, that all of that information. That's new. Um, Trust law series obviously still there. You can get a consultation on trusts with me right here. It's available. uh how to stop a foreclosure, which this was the real case, uh a real case that resulted in this. I'll show you. It resulted in the bank, Deutsche Bank, returning the property back to my parents. So with the trust law series, I'm using information, I'm giving you information that I used in real life. And you'll see here, this is a real case with my parents in Deutsche Bank, a German bank, Rhode Island Superior Court. You'll see where this is a trust. We filed a trust. We have a trust number where I'm the administrator. My mother's the grantor. It's my mother's name. It's my name. Filed at recorder of deeds. Where trust law has saved my parents' house. And then this is me going over the case in federal court that I filed against the alleged mortgage lender. I believe it's around 2 hours or maybe an hour and a half of me reading everything that happened, the correspondences that they sent, what we responded with, and then of course there's the free video on YouTube where I'm discussing this very same thing for free with my parents. I just didn't read every single thing like I did in this video, which pertains to uh, what would happen before you get foreclosed on, how you could fight to avoid it. And then this just talks about what you could possibly do after you've already been foreclosed on. This applies to credit card debt, student loan debt. The principle is the same. The fraud is the same. But this is a video. This I recorded this 2018, 2019 when it was actually happening, and then we won the property in 2022. So it was a fight, a long ass fight, a long stressful fight. But it's either we fight or we surrender. Anyway, so I'm not selling information I haven't used myself. Unlike other Moors with no proof of claim whatsoever, they just say, "Oh, here's the trust and here's the EIN and here's this and give me $2,000 for that," and then they live, in the project still. Anyway, um, this is a book by Moreno Bay, Moorish Seafarers. Um, it's a children's book. What else? Did I skip something? No, I didn't. Jalil's book. This is Mafiel's book, PDF version of his book. This is Jalil's book. This is the Blue Bible. The brother Crip Jesus on Instagram. This is his book. This is a few thoughts and writings by Lucha L. And here's business plan templates, Alodio business directors, board of directors templates. Here's the Ku Klux Klan and the Democratic Party, the Moorish Empire 101, right to refuse vaccination, some res judicata on various subjects, and I'm pretty sure I updated it. Yeah, I updated this. Um, Another consultation, a general consultation, so we can talk about whatever you want, as opposed to just building trusts. But if you decide to talk about trust in this class, you're wasting your time because the other consultation is for that. This is just a general off-the-cuff consultation. The trust consultation, which is really estate planning, requires me to ask you a lot of things and write a lot of things down to help you plan your estate. So, asking how many children you have, how old are they, properties you own, uh, retirement plans, a list of assets, or if you don't want to give it to me, which you don't have to, for you to write it down. How you plan to move forward if you already have a trust, how to maneuver in that trust. What are your plans? If you want to talk about the ideas of structuring it for contingencies for heirs, contingencies for administrators, who can be an administrator, what the administrator's capacities are. That's what we talk about here. And then the general consultation is literally anything else, anything that doesn't require as much work. You know, and none of it's legal advice. It's just a consultation. It's what it's advertised for, or advertised as, is a general consultation. So you know, some people ask me to help look up potential arguments that they may want to raise. Again, it's not legal advice. It's if you need help doing research, if you need help understanding something, that's what that is. That's what that's for. Articles of Confederation, that's free. I think I went over everything. But as you can see, I'm striving to put other Moorish business on the website because the website already exists, the traffic already exists. There's already a market on this platform. So the same reason why Moors would sell their stuff on Amazon is the same reason why you should sell it with me, because Amazon already has the platform, Amazon already has the market, but I have a specific platform and a specific market for Moors, which is what we should be doing for us, by us. And I might be a little biased because when I was younger, my mother brought the whole family FUBU. You know, my whole family's been in and around the Five Percenters and the Nation of Gods and Earth and the Black Panther movement. So this is just in my blood, which I found out later. Um, but if you believe in more supporting each other, if you have a product and you want to put it on my website, all you got to do is press here, this message us, and this message is the Rise of the Moors business Facebook. I answer those questions. Some people have questions about their downloads not being available. Whenever you buy anything from the website, as soon as you pay for it, the next screen where your receipt is, that's where the downloads are. And automatically, Weebly, I set it up so that way Weebly, the website who hosts the domain, Rise of the Moors, when you purchase anything, it automatically emails you and me. And it shows me, it says that this is, I forgot what exactly it says, but essentially tells me that this is a copy of the receipt that your customer received. So I see where you purchased something, and I see where the email is sent to you, to the email that you put in the description of what the website asked for. So it emails the downloads to you. So if you miss it after you check out, if you miss that page, it will immediately email it to you. Check your spam and your junk email, and you will see it there, because I get emailed every single time. Even when people get the free stuff, I get an email every single time. So I know the downloads are available. And on the Weebly website, it tells me if you downloaded it. And I'm saying this because there's been a few people that try to buy digital stuff and then request a refund for it, and then they try to do it through the company that mediates the transaction. And then when I have to oppose it, I provide all the receipts of here's where they bought other things, here's the download that they bought. So when people say, oh, I received my item defective, but it's a digital download, you can't. And when you purchase other things before saying an unauthorized use of your card, you're lying. So there's some type of protection on both sides, and you can't lie because all this stuff is there. That's a little more of the private side, but Moors try to take advantage sometimes, which is unfortunate because we're already being taken advantage of by colonists. So why would we do it to each other? But anyway, if you want to sell your product on the website, you can just contact me right here, message us. And if they try to dispute your product, just like they try to do mine, I will fight for it, because it's in our interest to do so. And yeah, there. Let me see. Let me pull something up, just so you can see some of the analytics. Actually, no, I don't gotta do that. If you want to do business with me, contact me, and I can show you the numbers uh, as far as sales and marketing and how effective the marketing is, and I can show you all that stuff. That's private stuff. Um, but yeah, this is the website. What else is on here? Black Identity. I'm pretty sure a lot of Moors have already seen this. If not, I'm gonna show you again. I updated just the beginning of it, just the forward part. Added that, but everything else is essentially the same. Right? If you want to change your people, you change their literature. So this is why I wrote this. This is why I'm writing things. Period. You know, um, this is all free information. All of this is free. Free. And if you print it, right? If I decided to print this, I'm pretty sure it's like 64 pages. I don't know why that's doing that. It's gonna load eventually. I think it's because I'm streaming, so it takes up a lot of the processing power. Anyway, I'm pretty sure it's around 64 pages worth of information for free. Um, what else is here? That's basically it. All right. Uh, hopefully you've learned something. Appreciate your time. Appreciate your support if you've supported us. I appreciate your future support if you plan on supporting us. Uh, I'm glad to be able to say that I have other Moorish products on my website from other Moors, um, because that's what Rise of the Moors has been about since the beginning. If you have a product and you're a Moor, even if you're not a Moor, please sell it on my website. It's mutually beneficial. You get more uh, potential customers. It drives more potential customers to the website for me, which in turn helps, you know, potentially boost the conversion rate of my products. It helps boost the potential conversion rate of every other Moor's product. You know, it's just mutually beneficial. Uh, Actually, let me see if I can find some of the statistics so I can read them to you, just so it's presented a little better. It's my baby upstairs talking. Now my computer's being real slow. Um, oh, there it is. Okay. As soon as it decides to open. Well, while that's taking its sweet time. Oh, there it is. Never mind. Let me drag it over here. So, these numbers right here are a little off, but 15 out of 51 items on the website. There's more items, and there's more free items. 15 out of 51 on the website are free. 28 out of 51 items on the website are $25 or less. 5 out of 51 items on the website are over $40, which are physical books. 2 out of the 51 items on the website are consultations. And there's one specialty item on the website regarding the adverse possession. Since its publishing date of June 28th, 2018, Rise of the Moors has gotten 48,406 views and 5,926 orders. Now that's not items, that's orders, because there's been times where people have purchased many items in one order. Since its published date of June 28th, 2018, Rise of the Moors has gotten 48,000 views, 18,478 unique views, meaning That's people typing it in themselves, not clicking on a link. 5,969 orders. I'm not going to go over units sold. 2,000, excuse me, not 2,000, 200.51% highest monthly conversion rate, which is ridiculous. I think the average, I think what's considered good is 2.5%. This is 213% conversion rate. 448 searches on Google, 30 searches on DuckDuckGo.com. Our YouTube has gotten 2,033,648 views. When was this taken? This was taken from July 25th, 2023. So obviously the numbers have changed. It's September 18th now. Our most viewed video has 206,000 views. 10,000 views in the past 30 days. Again, this is from July 25th. 17,000 subscribers. 56% of the views are from actual subscribers. 72% of views are from North America. 87% of views are male. 3.8% of viewers are 18 to 24. 30% of views are 25 to 34. 30% of viewers are 35 to 44. 21% of viewers are 45 to 54. 10% of viewers are 55 to 64. So when you advertise with us, that's the market you get to tap into. I also have screenshots from the website itself, but again, when you decide to do business with us, then you get to see this information. But I have a screenshot of 5,277 page views in 30 days. That means in 30 days, 5,000. My website has been viewed 5,277 times. So if you want visibility on your product, you can potentially even just advertise your product on the website. You don't even have to sell it through the website. You could just advertise it. And actually, let me do this right here. And get views for your product that way. Let me see. Where's that video at? There we go. Whoa there, computer. Simmer down. Simmer down. Hold on, I'm trying to add something. So my computer's freaking out. Where's it at? Not sure why this is doing what it's doing. I was gonna play a video, but it's not playing. So, never mind. Yeah, if you want to advertise your product on the website, go to riseofthemoors.org. Click on the Message Us tab, bottom left, and let me know if you want to advertise your product. You could also email us, but this is probably the most efficient way to get in contact with me because the email is so congested. But yeah, thank you for your time. Look forward to your future business. And hopefully I can get more people to get the Moorish lexicon to teach their children because there's valuable information in it. Like I said, my children already have their copy. I got a little book binding machine. I make these by hand. So thank you for your